It says muted.
All right, good morning, everybody. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Get a hand wave from everybody there. John, if you can hear me, that's a little loud, or we got to do that. I don't know which one.
Person, I think, but I don't know.
Is that you talking, Mary?
It was. Good morning.
So John hasn't muted you. Good morning. You're the only one not muted. John hasn't muted you yet, so get in what you want to say before we shut
I
you off.
don't know how I got so lucky. No, no, I'm good. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, you're the only one who's talking and has the ability to. I don't know why John didn't shut you off. So don't say too much. All right,
I'll
we're
try
going to
not.
start with. Oh yeah, okay. Let's open with our invocation and we'll get started.
No, they're not here.
All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day, for this opportunity to come here and do the county's business. We thank you for living in a free country and ask that as we take up this business, make these decisions, we would do them with respect and honor toward you and toward the people that we serve. We thank you for all these opportunities in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, roll call, please.
Brady.
Here.
Drummond.
Here.
Gothier.
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
Nook. Absent.
Approve the minutes from the May 11th, 2020 special meeting.
We don't have, I'm looking for the minutes from the meeting prior, the regular meeting.
We approved them at the special meeting.
You can't approve regular meetings and minutes for a regular meeting and a special meeting. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to be a wet blanket, but who made the motion?
Nobody is.
Oh,
Nobody.
okay.
You did?
I will move to approve the minutes from the May 6th and the May 11th meeting.
For support?
I'll support.
Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Drummond.
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes.
All right. Public comment, 3 minutes per person. See a few names out there. Anybody have anything to say under public comment? I think you just raise your little hand and John will go ahead and unmute you. We'll give another 30 seconds here if anybody. Anyone?
Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
Who was that?
Lenny. Thank you, Lenny.
Oh,
All right, hearing no public comment, we'll move into presentations. By my list, I have Michelle Warner first. There she is. Michelle, welcome.
Hi,
Can
everyone.
you hear me?
I hope I can hear
All right,
you. Can
very
you hear
good.
me?
We can.
Okay, great.
So
Good to
Michelle
see all
Warner
of
from
you.
MSU and MSU Updates.
Yes.
Oh, shut up.
Hi. I just wanted to say, first of all, good morning, commissioners. And I hope you're all aware that MSU Extension has done a complete 180 and is now offering all programs virtually. You should be getting updates on what those programs look like on your email. And then I also wanted to let you know, I'll be leaving my position as district director next week. And soon you will be introduced to an interim district director named Julie Darton. And she couldn't make this morning's meeting, but she'll definitely be on your next call during public comment just to introduce herself. It's been a pleasure working with all of you.
Thank you. I got to get in the pen. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Michelle, thank you for all that you've done for Alcona, and I know the other counties too. We will miss you. I think you've brought a lot of new depth into our county and for our residents, and I will miss you personally. So thanks for your friendship for just for all you've done.
Thank you.
I'm back. I'm sorry, Michelle. I thought you were going to have a lengthy presentation, and I just need to go get an ink pen. So, it kind of surprised to me. I hope everything is going
Oh,
well.
I thought
and
I scared you off.
No. So, when is it effective? In a week?
Yes.
You're effective,
Next Friday is my
you-
last day.
Okay. Well, again, I heard Carolyn say thank you for all your time. I know it's been 2 years or 3.
3 years,
3. Have you been here 3 years?
and it's
3
been
years,
great.
yep.
I hope that.
All right, very good. We're having fun with Zoom, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. We appreciate your time.
Bye.
All right. Bye. Next, Alyssa, trial court administrator.
Good morning.
I hope your Zoom doesn't get glitchy.
Good morning. I emailed everybody a memo, and that's the reason why I'm here today, is to talk about some updates with staff for the trial court. So I trust that everyone has had time to review that memo. I did get some questions regarding the positions in the court and what everybody does after I sent this out. So I guess I could apologize, say I was not aware that there was not as much knowledge about what we do in our positions in the court. So I did provide a little bit more detailed Excel spreadsheet to you all yesterday. I emailed that out to just talk about our main roles in the court system and who's doing them, to give you a better idea of what direction we're moving here in the next couple months. And then I did receive a follow-up email from Dan yesterday with a couple questions, and I can answer those right now, or at least to the best of my ability. So Dan wanted to know, with these changes, how that was going to affect our wages, benefits, and retirement. So retirement and benefits are calculated by the clerk's office. So I don't have those exact figures, but I can tell you what our numbers look like January 1st, and I can tell you what they will look like in August when we're done. So January 1, our budget that was approved by the commissioners, or by the county, had 11 full-time employees in the 101 budget, in our trial court budget. August 3rd, we will have 11 full-time employees, so the same number of full-time employees. There is no change in that. So I don't know how retirement benefits are calculated, but I can tell you that we are not increasing the number of people that will be receiving retirement. We are decreasing the total salaries in the trial court budget, because we are eliminating a part-time position through all this movement of staff. And I guess I'll take a step back. Regarding health insurance, we will have, again, 11 full-time employees, but my understanding through conversations with the people that we will be hiring, we will have one less person taking the health insurance. So one more person will take the buyout, which will increase our buyout by $3,500, but it'll decrease our health insurance cost by however much money that decreases. And then returning to the salaries, the numbers for 2020, for the whole year, the actual salaries right now are estimates, and I will tell you that because I don't know exactly how things are going to, like what the cost is going to be, because January 8th is when a lot of these things are happening. I don't know with the payroll splits, you know, like I know how much money we've spent so far on payroll. I know how much money the new salaries are going to be. So how I calculated these numbers I'm going to present to you is I said, okay, this person was in this, getting paid this much for 5 months, and they're going to get paid this much for 8 months. So I just did basic math like that. So they might not be exact figures. However, our budget in 2020 for salaries, not including the judge, was $297,325. That's what's in our trial court budget right now, our 101 only. What I'm estimating that we will spend in salaries this year is $263,963, which is over $33,000 less, is what I'm looking at in a potential savings. Now, you have to take into account that I'm leaving I do have some accrued time that will be paid out, so I know that that money, part of that will be used towards paying that out and whatever other costs associated with that kind of stuff, so. Our salaries, if our 2021 budget, if salaries did not change, so if we looked at, all these, salaries that we're putting people in on this year, all these changes in salaries and distribution of duties, again, I gave you the 2020 number, our 2021 number, so you're not having to cover the cross-training and the paying two people at once, would be $259,975, which would be about $37,000 less. So as far as salaries go, and then obviously the associated fringe with that and workers' comp, that would be a decrease in our overall budget. We're doing this because it was possible with our current caseloads. We've talked about the reasons that we were gonna examine this consolidation in the past. I don't want to go into too much detail, but this is that consolidation that we've been talking about for a year. And the distribution of duties allowed us to make that happen. There's a couple budgets I did just talk about, and so before I ask for your approval, I'll tell you the changes in that again really quick. In drug court, we are, which is not a one-on-one budget or not funded by the general fund in any way. We are looking at an increase of $1,059 plus associated fringe in the overall budget, or not in the overall budget, in the overall salaries. There will be no bottom line adjustment. Or no bottom line budget adjustment. And then in the public guardian budget overall, there will be an adjustment of salaries of $3,200 a year, plus the associated fringe with that. And that is what I am requesting that you approve today.
What fringes will be with the?
It's just the FICA and workers' comp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I'm talking about fringe, that's what I mean, just those ones that would be for an
Which would be-
hourly employee.
Will that be a contractual or a straight out employer?
Just a straight out employee, the same as the public guardians as far as their status. And the agreement that we have with that position for the public guardian administrator is 4 hours a week, and with the pay, we're gonna pay her $20 an hour, 4 hours a week, is what we've told her we would allot her for that, and she'll be submitting timesheets and everything for that, so it will be an hourly position.
That was, are you ready for questions?
Yep.
sir?
Sure.
Okay. Pam was probate registrar.
Correct.
Who will be doing that?
Diane Miles is our probate register.
Okay,
Diane Miles is our probate register, she's also our juvenile register, so we combined Barb and Pam's positions, but we couldn't give her everything, because she's
now,
still a
will
person.
Diane be being paid out of any 298 monies?
No,
No, okay,
and Pam never was either,
right,
which is why we need the bottom line increase in that budget.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions with this?
And Diane is still gonna be doing her, what is her title?
She's a probate/juvenile register.
Right.
Diane's position right now is what it will be. Carrie Scamazzo, we are going to transition to a full-time employee. We do not have an effective date. That's one of the reasons why the actual salaries this year is estimated. It's going to be when we're entering phase 3 of reopening is when we want to transition her into a
Phase
full-time
3 or
employee.
phase 4?
3 is when we're
Youth
basically having
reports,
people,
yeah.
phase 4 is back to normal. So phase 3. And Carrie will be performing, she'll also be the deputy juvenile register, so she'll be performing some of those duties that Barb did, that Diane is supposed to be doing, but she doesn't have time for right now. We've pretty much prioritized her duties and said, drop them. So there's things that aren't being done right now because she does not have time. And Carrie will be picking those duties up.
So Carrie's the only one we've got one going to full-time,
Carrie,
permanent, yeah, and then but we got somebody going permanent part-time also.
Pam Ashford, we will be putting in the 298 budget at a part-time 4 hours a week.
Okay, got it, okay. I'll get it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Carrie's position, that the 28-hour a week position, we are not replacing.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I knew we were talking about this in the last year about not
Yeah.
replacing the position, and I wondered,
Yeah. And then because of the associated duties and after doing a wage study and looking at other counties that have a shared probate juvenile register, that's how we came up with the salary for Diane. And so that is less than if you smush together the juvenile probate register position. That's not, we didn't just combine their salaries.
Right.
So that's part of the savings as well.
all right. So we,
Motion's in order, I think.
can we do this as one motion covering all the changes, all the transfers and everything, finance, or do you want us to do it from,
Do we need to approve it?
I think we need to at least approve a bottom line budget,
we
the.
have a bunch of amendments, yep.
But those are line item changes.
No, the public guardian, it's a total.
Oh, I'm
increase.
sorry.
Yes.
The public
Of
guardian
30,
one.
of,
Yeah.
just over,
Of
yeah.
$3,900.
Thank you. 39.45, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And that money is coming from your
Transfers in from fund balance.
fund balance.
All right, so does anybody know what motion to make here?
I think we make a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented for 298
Support.
in the amount of $3,945.
There's support with Carolyn? Any discussion? Hearing none? Roll call, please.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Drummond,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Comment if I may. And I think Alyssa's done a wonderful job of putting all these puzzle pieces
Yeah.
together.
Thank you.
Well, and I know we've given you lots of accolades when you reported your retirement, or now you're not retiring.
No,
But what I would also like everybody to see that, you know, if you look at the little information box here, so we have 3 people taking over one person's job. When Alyssa was doing all 3 of those different jobs, I see, and so I mean that too was very appreciated, and we knew you were busy and we knew you were doing a lot, so.
Thank you. Well, we're trying to set the court up for success, so I
Yep.
definitely don't want to see anybody flounder and, yeah, or sleep as little as I do.
Alrighty, thank you.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah.
All right, next, Missy Cordis, Register of Deeds.
Good
You
morning.
cold stuff? Anybody? You guys good? Everybody good?
Yeah,
All right,
thanks.
still good?
So I just am here today to talk to you about program in the registrar's office that I would like to begin promoting. So this would be property fraud alert, and I guess basically to explain a little bit about what that is it is considered one of the fastest growing crimes in America right now. And basically someone can draw up a fraudulent document, record it, and potentially take over someone's property illegally for their own personal gain. So with what this program does is, I guess it's important to note that it doesn't prevent fraud, but what it does is allows people to subscribe to the program and receive alerts when there's any document recorded in Alcona County that would meet the criteria that they have registered with. So say for instance, I register myself for the property fraud alert. I'm going to register as Melissa Cordis, but many people also know me as Missy Cordis. Now, these are legal documents. I myself wouldn't prepare something and record it under Missy. I would always use Melissa, but I can register both of those names so that I would be alerted if someone recorded something under Missy Cordis.
Oh,
as
under
well
that
as
name.
Melissa Cordis.
I got it.
So it's all based on name or a business name. So you can register business names, you can do personal names. It's unlimited as to how many names you can choose to subscribe. So, I mean, somebody, if you're John or Jonathan, you might register as Jonathan, John, 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 Jon. There's just multiple different ways that you can subscribe. And then in talking with Carolyn last week about this, she was asking in regards to trust, because especially in our office, many people record documents that are in the name of a trust. So those as well could be registered. They would be considered a business name, so you would register it under the trust, under the business name. So how the alerts work is when you subscribe, you either list an email address that you want the notification sent to, or you can register a phone number to receive a phone call. So in our area, we have many older people, so I'm anticipating that there may be quite a few people that want to register using that phone number. So if you register with an email address, you would be notified the same day the document is recorded if there was something that was recorded that met the criteria you had subscribed with. And in that email, it just alerts you to the fact that there was something recorded, gives you the document name, the date it was recorded, whose name was on the document, and it gives you information in case you feel you would first call the Register of Deeds office to find out what exactly was recorded, if in fact it wasn't something that you initiated. So it gives you good information to start out with in order to start your search, and then it also gives you some next step options. So if it was something that was fraudulently recorded, it kind of guides you and gives you some information of other people that you may want to contact in the event it happens. Now, if you register with a phone number, they will make 3 attempts to contact you by phone if something is recorded that meets the criteria that you've registered with. So I guess one other important fact to point out is that this is a free program that's provided through the Register of Deeds office. It's supported through Fiddler Technologies, which is our software provider. So the alerts and the phone calls will be coming from Fiddler Technologies. If someone has to call the 800 number to register, or they're calling because they've received an alert, they're going to speak with a live person, which is that's huge nowadays, because how many times do you call somewhere and press 1 to go here, and you don't know which option you even are supposed to be choosing. So signing up is quick and easy. There are a few different ways. Easiest way is there's an icon on the Register of Deeds department on the county website, so individuals can visit alconacountymi.com. Under the Register of Deeds tab, and right at the top there's a property fraud alert icon. That will direct you right to the page to register. You can go to propertyfraudalert.com, choose your county and state, or I have brochures. There's an 800 number that you can call in order to register. So I guess, I don't know if anyone has questions.
Not a question, I just want to share with them. I have asked Missy if she would be so kind as to let each of the townships know, and maybe they can put it in their newsletter that would go out in July with their taxes. I think it's a wonderful thing to realize that it's not costing the county and it's not costing the individual. You'd like to hope that in 10 years nobody ever needed it, but what if?
Right.
So.
I can definitely send out information to each of the townships. That is not a problem. I guess moving forward, I'm just asking for your consent. I do have a press release ready that I would like to send out as well to make the public aware that this service is available. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions or like any other information.
I think it's good to go.
I do too. I just really have a computer. You have, I don't know if anyone wants extras. I have plenty more in my office if you would need some. So this is just a great way for residents or property owners to, protect their most valuable asset, which is really their home.
Have we ever had anything here? Have you ever had a
As
case?
in
A
property
fraud?
fraud?
Yeah.
Not that I am aware of, at least not in the time I have been in the registrar's office.
Mm-hmm.
But just like any type of
It's
fraud,
coming.
and I know, in my discussion with Carolyn last week, I mean, since everything has started going on with this pandemic, I received 2 or 3 phone calls wanting to know if there's any way they can be alerted if there's fraud. There was an individual who had their home broken into, and they were concerned that, you know, the deed had been stolen. And just wanted to know, you know, how would we be able to notify them if something was recorded? Well, I mean, we can't
You don't know.
personally keep a list of
Right.
names or anything
No.
like that. So, you know, this is just a great program,
Mm-hmm.
I feel anyways.
To address Missy's thing, I would move that we acknowledge the property fraud alert that is now being offered through the Register of Deeds office.
So you'd like to make a motion, we acknowledge and support,
And support, yes.
and there's a support by
I
someone?
support.
By Dan? All right. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Brady,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Brumman.
Yes.
Good job. Thanks for
All right.
looking that up.
Thanks,
And
Mrs.
Thank you.
all right, Laura Bowen, is that, I think that's the name. Can you hear me, Laura? My computer kicked me off of Zoom, so I can't see whether you're there or not.
Thought she was.
I thought I saw your name. All right. Laura, can you hear me? All right, we'll wait on that. So I see Lenny and Scott Rice and Scott Stevenson. We want to give a quick update to you three. Lenny, you want to go first?
Good morning, everyone. I have a couple of things really quickly. If anyone in the community is in need of a mask, the Oconee County Commission on Aging has been working with some of our residents out of all over the county. We've had individuals donate homemade masks. If anyone from the county, including businesses, are interested in getting masks for themselves or their employees, they can make a call to our main number, which is 989-736-8879. And when my beautiful voice comes on, you can hit option 10, and that will take you directly to our operator, and then they can talk to them and work out what they need. This will be a no contact drop, meaning that if you say, okay, I need 20 masks for me and my business, we'll put 20 masks in a lockbox outside, and then you would come by and we would schedule that pickup. So you would say, okay, I want to pick up at 1 o'clock. We will have that box outside waiting for you at 1, and then you would pick up those masks at that particular time. So you would not be allowed into the facility to get those masks. But this is open to the public and free of charge. So if anybody is interested in getting a mask, all they have to do is call 989-736-8879 and hit extension 10 when the auto attendant, which is my voice, picks up. Second, we have another food pantry that is going to be on May 28th. That is not this Thursday or not tomorrow, but next week. So May 28th from 4 to 6. I sent you guys an email. You can put that up on your website. It will be up on our website here shortly. So that's our pop-up pantry. Everybody pretty much understands how this kind of goes. Next, we were awarded the grant with the USDA. Our partners, Gordon Food, and us were able to come to an agreement to provide food for our county for 32 weeks. Now, this program might change. It might evolve because now the country is moving to reopen. We don't know if we'll have the full 32 weeks, but at current, we are going to be operating starting June 5th, be a Friday. I will put that out on social media, in the newspaper, on the website for that, where we'll be putting specific drop zones for a pop-up pantry. And what I mean by that is we'll have a drop zone in Black River. We'll have a drop zone in Barton City. We'll have a drop zone in Mankato. We'll have a drop zone in Curran, and we'll also keep our drop zone area here in Lincoln, which means we'll have 5 potential pop-up pantries running simultaneously for those individuals in those communities, okay? And this is food that's provided by the USDA. We had to agree to 32 weeks because we become the new restaurants. But that, like I said, that might change as businesses start to kind of open. Right now, we have the food allocated for the month of June. So every looks like Friday in June, those are 5 drop locations will be in effect. I will have, like I said, more information. Look in the newspaper, look on social media, look on your local businesses. We'll paper the towns with flyers. The county, the village presidents, as well as the fire halls, are going to be getting that word out to their residents so that we'll deliver the food via boxes to these drop sites, and then they will determine the time that you can come pick up. That is the USDA part of that. If anybody has a question about any of those programs, I'll circle back. Finally, we are instituting a phase 1 reopening, which means we're still closed to the public, but we are bringing back some of our staff that are working remotely to work in the building. I know there have been a lot of calls and people saying, well, I'm not able to get back in contact with people. We just don't have the technology to forward calls to people's cell phones when they're at home working remotely. So we had staff calling their voicemails and checking voicemail. That's why it was a little bit of a 1 to 2 day delay. But now we're slowly moving back. We still have to work out the social distancing. Our building is not very big, especially in the spaces where we congregate. So we're at a phase 1 reopening. With that, phase 3, it would be a reopening to where we are allowing limited capacity individuals back into the building. Phase 4 would be business as normal. So we're still in the infancy part of getting this back together. So
Lenny?
what's that?
Lenny, who is setting those phases?
We are.
We're hearing different phases from different groups.
Well, our phases are set up by our board and myself. When we sit down, we have a policy and program committee that we sit down and we determine what would be the best options. We have to follow some of the suggestions from our state and federal grantors, like ASA, NEMSCA, those individuals. But ultimately, we want to do what's best for the community that we serve. So we kind of sit down and say, okay, what is the most strategic way to have individuals receive these services? Like right now, we are reopening in-home services. So the individuals who needed light housekeeping, at that time we had said that was not an essential service because that would put more people at risk. Right now, we are now opening back up 30 more individuals to receive those services.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions on the pop-up, the USDA program, and what's that, ma'am?
Could you list those 5 areas again, please?
Okay,
Potato?
we have Barton City,
Okay,
we have Curran,
thank you.
we have Black River, we have Mankato,
Okay,
and then we have Lincoln still utilizing the elementary school.
now, the people, for instance, from Harrisville, where are you hoping that they go? To Lincoln?
That would be my hope. I will be completely honest. I reached out to every person in the community to see if we can set up 8 to 9 different sites. At this point, I have to go with what I got because this program originally was supposed to start May 18th, but I had to push it back to the first week of June. So I'm hoping that those participants who need that can come to those Lincoln sites. We are able, if they will call ahead of time, and if they are unable to attend, we could in theory, bring these boxes to them. So they can still call our agency and work out, work that out. If you know of anybody that wants to volunteer and drop off boxes like Scott does a great job with making sure that people at Lincoln Manor gets their boxes. We deliver about 25 boxes just to that little community there. We have another guy who delivers boxes to his trailer home, his trailer park community. He takes about 10 or 15 different boxes there. So we're more than happy with trying to work things out to make sure we get to people who can't get out and who are shut in their homes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lenny.
No worries.
Any other questions? If not, Scott Rice.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
EMS wise, COVID-19, we're still doing testing over at the Lincoln Alcona Health Center. That's going pretty well. They're only doing about 4 to 6 people a day. Call volumes down for EMS. I think everybody's staying home to the south. May 17th through the 23rd is EMS week here at the EMS building. We presented most of the employees who have worked this week with a polo shirt to show our appreciation for all their hard work and dedication that they've given over the years here at Alcona EMS. Moving on to emergency management. If you've not seen the news, the Edenville Dam and the Sanford Dam down along the Gladwin County, Midland County line has eroded, has busted. Saginaw County, Midland County, and Aranac County have all declared states of emergency. I've not been in contact with anybody down there yet. I know that they're pretty busy. They've got their hands full. Tawas has quite a bit of flooding if you've watched the news or anything on social media. So we're not going to have easy routes of access south of us to get down to the lower part of the state if we had to. I got an email this morning from Richard Castle from Consumers Power. The Mayo Dam, condition C as in Charlie, is good. If you get to condition A, which is the worst, that's where the dam has failed and we have water flowing. So we're okay. He's not expecting any significant changes or any significant flooding downriver from the Mayo Dam. I'm continuously keeping in touch with the state, EOC, Aranac County, Gladwin, Midland, Saginaw to see what our neighbors are doing and what their needs and what their resource requests are. So we're kind of on a standby mode as to see what the future may or may not bring for our neighbors.
All right, thank you, Scott. Any other questions? Any comments?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Scott Stevenson.
There, can you hear me okay?
Got anything? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, a couple things. I did go out to the dam last night in Alcona, in Glenny, check that out myself, and not even close to being high. It looks like they're releasing a little bit of water, but there's clearly at least 5 or 6 feet before it is even in any danger. So I think they got that pretty well under control. I don't think we got the water here or the rain here that they did downstate. A couple things real quick. Want to give a good shout out for Sergeant McGuire. He's retiring here next week. May or may not know that he's got over 30 years of service with the sheriff's office. He's worked as a canine officer or detective. He's kind of the guy, the face of the department, the mustache of our department, as you could say. He was here working the road and running a canine when I was still in high school and college, and he was very visible. There was always newspaper articles about people he tracked down from Sprinkler Lake or missing elderly people, but he's been the face of this department for a long time. At one time, he served as the constable for the village of Lincoln. That's kind of a little known fact. And he was also a police officer out in Meeker, Colorado. So he's kind of been around, done a lot of things in law enforcement, and anymore to retire from this career, you survive rather than just retire. To make it without having anything really bad happen to you is really quite an accomplishment anymore. So I want to extend a shout out to Jim, and if you guys see him or talk to him, give the same to him. It's kind of a big deal to be retiring with that much time here. We got through Police Officer Week was last week, May 10th through 16th. The week before was Corrections Officer Week. we always hear about Police Officer Week, but we never hear about Corrections Officer Week, and it's really too bad because those are the people that do all the work around here that nobody else wants to do. You've heard me say before, it's pretty hard to find people to work in the jail because it's the low pay, crappy conditions, the dregs of society who have ended up in jail anymore. And we ask them to work nights, holidays, and weekends. So let's give a shout out if we see our corrections officers, let them know we appreciate them. We have 8 full-time corrections officers, part-time that keep us going around here. One other thing I have going on is the National Guard's dropping off some test kits for us. It seems to be the trend that the jails are testing all of their inmates and staff. So they're dropping off about 25 test kits here for me, probably yet this week. I don't think we'll administer them until next week or so. Don't know that we really have any concerns that anybody's going to be positive, but I think it's just to get a baseline for how many inmates around the state of Michigan in state and county custody might be infected. I don't have any concerns that we're going to have any, but I think it's good to throw out a 0 number if that's what we have. So our jail nurse will be administering those. He's going to be trained by the National Guard via Skype or Zoom or whatever facility they do that with to do the testing, and we'll send the test kits in. And not exactly sure who they're reporting results back to yet, whether it's going to be me or the health department or how that's going to work yet, but some of those details are yet to be determined. That's about all I have for today.
Any questions for Scott? Nope. Very good. I hope maybe in another 2 weeks we'll have better news, like everything's open and we're rolling along. That'd be great.
Well, unfortunately, we heard some rumors coming out of the health department yesterday that we were going to be included in Zone 6, which is opening up Friday for the state of Michigan. If you're familiar with the map that the governor put out, I have messages into Lansing and everything right now says that those were just rumors. That has not happened.
I believe you're correct. I've made a few calls too, and we're not. Maybe by the end of the week there might be a change, or the first of next week, but nothing yet.
And I think even though we weren't in the first wave, I think we're probably very likely going to be in the next wave of reopening. Been in conversation with Sheriff Grace in Oscoda County, and he and I are both relatively upset about it. That we've got some of the lowest numbers in the state, and in counties around us are opening back up that have quite a bit higher numbers. But regardless, I think we're going to be close.
Yep. Thank you, Scott. All right, Dan O'Connor. Sorry to make you last, but I think you got probably some of the most interesting news. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I want to, like I said, it's kind of good to start off some of the good news, and I guess all the people doing different things to help out the county. I appreciate Sheriff Stevenson heading out to the dam last night. I'm sure that was on quite a few people's minds watching what was going down in Midland. So definitely much appreciation on that front. So never a dull moment right now, it seems to be like. So are you seeing a presentation, guys? Can someone confirm that just to make sure that they're seeing it?
Yes, we are.
All right, very good. So this week has been probably for the last month, we've had quite a few not so positive details kind of trickling out of Lansing in terms of school funding. Last Friday, they had a revenue estimating conference, which I'm sure the commissioners are aware of a little bit. And essentially the current fiscal year, which is 1920, the school fiscal year ends June 30, state fiscal year ends, I think the end of September. So they're projecting a $1.5 billion deficit in the school aid fund for the current fiscal year at this point. So the state budget committee had a statewide meeting on Monday, the state budget office, and essentially prep schools for a recoup of $600 to $800 a student yet in June for the current fiscal year that we're in. So obviously pretty difficult to make any budget adjustments when we only have 30 days left in the school year, and essentially our school year is done on June 1st. So that's going to be a $300,000 to $400,000 impact for us, to $400,000 impact for us. And then also, next school year, they're looking at a $1.1 billion deficit. And these are projections at this point, and that would mean another $500,000 to $1,000 per pupil reduction on top of the other current $600, $800 that they're going to take away potentially this school year. So then, 2 years out, they're just trying to project if, COVID-19 goes away a little bit in terms of what, a little bit less of a deficit, only a $500 million deficit 2 years from now. So if that's any positive news. So, obviously a lot up in the air at this point. We do, believe it or not, we have an Alcona connection in the state budget office. Jackie Moen is one of their lead accountants in that office. So was able to talk to her a little bit this week just to kind of connect and talk about a few details with her. We apologize for being the bearer of bad news at this rate, but good to know that, we've got a strong connection there if we have questions, kind of work through it. So one unique component with next school year, and maybe even still this school year, is there's 31 school districts in Michigan that are considered out of formula. And what that means is that their local property tax values, mostly because of their seasonal or resort areas, that their actually property values are higher than what the state allocation would be. So currently we get $8,000, a little over $8,000 a student. That would mean that their local property tax revenues supply 100% of that because of the unique economic conditions. So one little teeny tiny silver lining in this would be that if the cuts of this amount happen, we may be shielded a little bit from the 2021 cuts of that extra 500,000 or 100 or $1,000 due to the fact that we may bump into one of those unique out of formula districts where there's so many non-homestead properties that are located in the county because there's so many seasonal people. So, a lot of unknowns at this point, but Nick Cordes has been on top of that all along, digging into different options for us and just trying to figure out how to shelter us the best that he can. So, the state general fund, believe it or not, as many know, is worse off than the school aid fund at this point. So they're, everybody's scrambling at this point, trying to figure out what to do. It sounds like schools actually won't know if we're going to get prorated that $600 or $800 hit probably for another month or so. So that's going to be at the end of our fiscal year. There's nothing we can do, at that point. We're just going to have to take it out of our general fund, our fund balance, and go from there. We're going to hope that we stay above the state early warning indicator, which is a 5% fund balance at the end of that pullback. And it's going to be really close, depending on what that looks like. We did receive some CARES funding from the first round of the stimulus pieces. And with that, we went and purchased devices for students to get to one-to-one K-12. That obviously, we're not going to be able to pull that off with 2 weeks left in the school year to get all those out to students, but we'll have enough devices to be one-to-one K-12 for students next fall. And we also ordered 150 mobile hotspots to have in our back pocket for next fall as well. So every student that doesn't have internet right now will then have access to have internet, and as long as they have Verizon accessibility at their house, which is a wild card for people too. So, and then we're going to use some of the CARES funding to pay for extra supplies that were needed while we were trying to carry out our remote learning plan here this spring. So quite a few unknowns, as we head into whatever the summer brings and fall. Will we have a second wave of COVID-19? Will we reopen for in-person instruction in the fall? There's a big push right now out of Lansing through local associations to try to push for school stimulus funds for next fall, try to help out offset some of the budget crunch. Will there be changes in tax policy, impact on income tax collections? Those are just some of the questions that have been relayed at the state level, not necessarily my editorialized, unknowns, but a general consensus around the state. So what we do know about the fall is that we'll have enough devices and internet, probably be able to equip everybody with some really, at least better access than where we were this spring when this hit. We have had a hiring freeze, so we're going to replace 0 staff members that are retiring or leaving the district. From May or March through the end of the school year, we've had some. We're going to be reassigning some staff to some positions that they're probably not super comfortable, with at this point. But we're trying to keep everybody employed as the goal heading into next school year until we know more about our budget situation. We suspended quite a few independent contracts that we have. One of those would be our school resource officer, which I know the commissioners are aware of, and Sergeant Stevenson and I talked about a little bit as well. The library partnership is on hold right now. School success with NEMSCA's, potentially up in the air, and those are just a few common ones to kind of be aware of at this point. But again, really trying to focus on maintaining current programming for students, just being ready for the unknown, because our budget has to be passed by June 30. So we're not, I guarantee we may not even know what was going to be taken away from us this fiscal year, let alone, what may be taken away from us next fiscal year. So we know we have some major curriculum needs, particularly at the elementary level, where we're trying to find curriculum that's going to maybe better translate from face-to-face instruction to online instruction, if that may be the direction that we end up going. So it's got to seamlessly transition, and a teacher's going to have to be able to teach face-to-face and then teach remotely, maybe quickly, if the situation changes. Hopefully not, but we need to be ready for that, or more ready than we were probably this spring. We have to invest probably pretty substantially in some additional sanitization opportunities, in the building. We're going to have to probably add staff to be screeners, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit for students and staff before they come on site. And then we're going to need to look pretty seriously at some PPE and trying to make sure that we have that available, at least for staff. I've essentially notified teachers that they'll be all wearing masks. Anybody that works in the building will be wearing masks next fall. So student wise, that's still up in the air at this point, whether we're going to supply or require students to wear PPE. And obviously we'll see where this fall, where the rest of the summer goes with COVID-19 and what that looks like. I sat in a transportation town hall with all state transportation directors, and they essentially said if we're trying to abide by social distancing, we probably should have no more than 12 to 16 students per bus. So you can do the math on that. If you've got 8 bus runs and you've got 12 students on a bus, that poses some logistical challenges, for us as well, as we're trying to navigate into the fall. So, that's this early information, and obviously the pace of change from 8 weeks ago to now, it'll probably be the same the next 8 weeks. So I think this is probably pretty, a dark picture, at this point, and probably a pretty conservative picture, but it is the current guidance, that we're sort of getting. On a positive note, we've served 55,000 breakfasts and lunches since the closure to students and families. So that is a extreme positive. They actually extended the waiver program for that. That's part of a federal program where you're actually supposed to bring people in to have them eat in congregate sessions. Obviously, you're not going to have people meet, and eat together. So they allowed the grab and goes. So we're actually going to continue the grab and go food through June, July, and August up to the start of the scheduled school year. So that's a positive thing. We'll continue to serve the community, during the summer. We'll still do the once a week grab and goes, and we're offering 6 days of lunches and breakfasts all in one shot for essentially anybody birth through the age of 18. So I'm going to kind of run through like 3 scenarios that we're looking at for the fall. And these are pretty common around the world right now, depending on states and countries and where they are in this status right now. So plan A would obviously be most people's preference at this point would be back to face-to-face instruction. We'd have 100% of students on campus at that point. So, with that, we'd have some basic restrictions, some safety measures. We'd probably try to use outdoor spaces and gyms and auditoriums if we could to spread kids out for some larger classes. One component of that is I'm concerned about parent confidence, in a model like that. We've already been, getting a fair amount of questions about the fall and what if I choose to not send my student back? What can you do for me then? So there are, we've been offering 100% online options for students that wanted that in the past. That would be different than the remote learning option where our teachers are teaching those classes. In that case, we'd have a teacher that we contract with through a company actually be responsible for some of the education on that front. So that's an option if parents aren't comfortable sending them back in that type of environment. Plan B, which I feel like maybe the most likely scenario at this point, just again, based off of current information. We talked about the maximum, trying to bring 100 to 200 students in at a time, or maybe half the population in at a time. You'd set up like AB days, essentially, where students might come in 2 days a week and then do remote the remaining days of the week. And this is just spitballing right now at this point in terms of guidance that I'm hearing from around the state. We'd probably minimize the changing of classes and have teachers change classes. Lunches would not be in the cafeteria or anything like that unless we were sure we could get, the proper spacing, and we'd be looking at some staggered recesses and things like that. Option C is the remote learning for some or all of the school year. And, obviously we'd be looking at trying to simplify the schedule a little bit at that point because of the learning curve on that front. Maybe try to repurpose some staff to, lower some class sizes to allow for some personal interaction for students. Particularly worried about the K-3 students under Plan C and the lack of face-to-face instruction. Can't fathom how a kindergarten teacher would try to set some norms and get to know her students and begin to teach reading for little kindergartners at that point, and trying to be able to successfully do that. But that may be where we are in the fall. We're hoping that it's not, again, probably what I'm hearing is, maybe we start A and end up B, or, an option would be a start B and you might end up C. But there's so many unknowns at this point that I think it's hard to pin this down. And we focus more on probably the screening and protocols that we're gonna need to have in place in the fall, no matter what model, and have not gotten too deep into the weeds yet in terms of trying to look at option B, just because there's just too many unknowns at this point. So a couple positive things, the local economic development council has been amazing in terms of trying to help us push the internet issue locally. They've actually helped us. We're going to do a pilot run with a school bus Wi-Fi router here in a few weeks and test out internet speeds around the county, whether that be putting high-speed internet on buses and parking them in different spots around the county for students to access, or looking at township halls or public places to be able to put those high-powered routers to be able to offer public access for everybody. But so that group's been key in terms of helping us, gather, analyze the data, and then find companies that are going to be able to really help us, start moving forward. Commission on Aging and the food pantry, we're glad to be able to loan parking lot space to that. And we've had some staff volunteer in that process, but that's been a great thing, I think, for the community as well. We've had some early talks with the county about maybe holding court in the auditorium a little bit. So I don't know, if that'll come to fruition or not, but we're very open to that possibility. I think we got a good idea on, what that'll look like. We did receive an MCAN grant. That's the Michigan College Access Network for 10 grand for devices and internet connectivity. So we're excited about that. And immediately when the closure happened in early March, there was a federal grant that came out about school-based health and essentially added support for students at home. And we received $250,000 for that grant as well. So I actually have a meeting on that tomorrow to learn a little bit more. So some positives despite quite a few unknowns and, some very much uncertain financial conditions heading into the fall. We're no different than every other school at this point. It's there's just a lot going on right now. So, just to kind of review with the commissioners, we do have our sinking fund renewal and operational millage as well on the August ballot. So I'll revisit another meeting maybe later in June or July to meet and discuss that. The operational is an annual, or a renewal every 5 years for 18 mil non-homestead. That essentially makes up 70 or 80% of our operations budget. So that's an important component within our fiscal budget. And then the sinking fund is 1 mil over 5 years, and that brings in approximately about $500,000 worth of revenue to be able to update facilities and infrastructure and different pieces like that. So we've been pretty focused on redoing roofs. This summer, we're going to, our last year of the current sinking fund, we're going to replace all of our HVAC controls in all classrooms and significant energy efficiency upgrades, our timing system. We're going to pull out carpet out of 7 elementary classrooms. So we'll just about have all those classrooms replaced and ready to go as well. So yeah, so that a lot of information in a short amount of time. Can I answer any questions that people may have?
Thanks, Dan. Anybody got a question? Anything? I mean, you're pretty clear and concise. We've heard a lot of these rumors, a lot of the stuff that's been going on. So we've been kind of in the loop. We appreciate the time you've taken. The unknown, I guess, is the same for all of us until we figure out where we're going to land here in about a month or two. and see where all these numbers are gonna come out at. It's gonna be tough. So what is
Yeah,
your school resource officer? You guys are not gonna do that contract. I mean, how do you, what are you perceiving for security? You got some funding that way and another avenue, or what are you thinking?
No funding, any other avenue, it'll probably have to revert back to, we would have to call the sheriff's department when we have an issue and hope that response time would be fast enough to be able to get there.
Yep.
So again, with just so many financial unknowns right now, I mean, if they're going to prorate the current fiscal year and then potentially reduce again, coming up next year, I mean, I'm just going to be honest, our goal is to try to be able to keep everybody employed that we currently have in place at this point, and try to keep class sizes below ridiculous levels. So, I'm not happy to, be in this position right now. It's definitely not my preference at this point, but unfortunately it's the reality of where we are with too many unknowns, to be able to do that. My hope is that, things stabilize a little bit. There's some opportunities for some additional funds, I think, to be able to come in and potentially be able to help, but I certainly can't count on that at this point, until we know what's happening.
Yep, understand. All right, any other comments, questions? No. All right, thanks, Dan.
Yep.
I do see, Denise, are you out there on the library? I'm kind of curious if you've got a minute there, if you can hear me. Well, I haven't heard when is the library opening, or Denise, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right. We have no idea when the library is opening because, with the governor's executive directives, she's specifically put us in one of them. Right now, we could possibly open the 28th of May. We've put that off till June 1st since it's a Monday. And we're going to have to make sure that cleaning and those kind of protocols are done before we open. I'm working on a plan to do that in steps. So I will be presenting that to my board next week on Wednesday, and hopefully they will agree, and we'll go from there and see what comes from the governor's office. On an update of other things, the library received a $5,000 grant from the Michigan Humanities under the HOPE Grant Act. So it's for operational from May to October, which, covers one pay period for staffing, but it is what it is. There's also a couple of grants that will be coming up through the Library of Michigan. One for $1,400 for PPE, and the other for $3,000 for increased internet ability throughout the system. So I'm working on those and looking into them. And we're going to be doing the summer reading program, but it will be all virtual. So it will all be like Facebook or Zoom related. It'll be interesting, but we'll figure it out. And that's what I have so far.
All right. Thank you. Can you gauge through your online stuff, you're providing services online, right?
Yes, we've had online, we've had internet Wi-Fi access 24/7 since we've been closed. Well, we had it before then, but I know that there has been some peak of usage with the schools doing their programming in our parking lot, but I don't know numbers. We have had to replace all of our red devices. They were at their peak age, and they're like a filtering device, but they all died. So some of our numbers may be lower at certain branches when they died. So I'll have to ask my tech person on that one though.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none. All right. Thank you, Denise.
All right. Thank you.
All right, I think we got everybody covered.
Did Laura join in yet? Laura?
I don't see her on. Oh, Laura, I still see you here. Laura Bowen or Bowen. I do see that you're not muted. So Laura was going to talk a little bit about the, oh, now she is muted and unmuted. Are you there now, Laura? Well, I see your name lit up, but I don't see you anything happening or hear anything, I should say. Since we're talking census, Carolyn, do you have any update on anything you've heard about census?
I printed out for each of you the colored sheet, and I think I'm very concerned because our numbers are just not up there. I know in some areas we have people with post office boxes and they did not send a code number to those boxes. I'm not aware that anyone is actually doing any door-to-door in our areas yet. I think that's going to be coming when we get into June, but I don't know that for an absolute. And I'm just concerned because these are dollars for the next 10 years. And
so Laura, I've got on her screen here. I don't see it up there, but that's on mine. She's saying, can you see my screen? Yes, we can. We see three different pieces of information. I don't know why we can't hear you, but that's okay. Okay, let's do it this way, she says. I don't see it on our main screen, John. I just see it on my computer. So I'll read what she's saying. Laura, go ahead. I'll interpret. So on the top, you can see the response rates. Look at the yellow column. If we can see that up there. I see that, okay. Now look at the map in the lower left.
map?
On the screen up there.
On the screen.
Oh, okay, oh, okay.
Okay? The yellow areas are something called update leave. You can see that area 9705 has considerable update leave. That is starting in June. Could you explain what update leave is, Laura?
Thank you.
What does that mean? Update leave is when the census worker updates the address. So a census worker and leaves a questionnaire. So this is a personal contact from a census worker that's going to be starting in June in these areas. Okay.
In the yellow areas.
In the yellow areas. Okay. So the percentage of the update leave percentages are what's in the screen. So we have as high as 14.3% in the Barton City, Mankato, Guston.
What about the 40%?
40% in Mitchell, Curtis, Millen, Hawes, Barton City, Kern, and Glenny. So is that saying that 40% of the people have not done anything, and you guys are going to have a census worker touch base with each one of them? Okay, she says yes. Okay. So
there'll be no personal touches in Greenbush then?
No, because Commissioner Brumman, who's been hard on the census, has done a great job.
No, if you look at our numbers, they're scary. I don't like them. I'm unhappy with our numbers.
The other thing to think about is the number of vacation homes.
Mm-hmm.
Those still do need to be answered. For example, If someone has a vacation home, they would answer that they were not at their home in your county. Which is still a household response.
Why would there be no contacts in Greenbush?
I don't know.
Why is that a 0?
Yeah, there's a 0 on update leave percent on Greenbush Township.
And Alpena City, and there's others that also are zeroed.
Yep, she says they don't have any update leave. So they've answered, or they've received everything by mail.
But they're still low because they're only at 34.3%. And 10 years ago, they were at 40.8% of what was anticipated.
So the update leave, Laura, is not that some people have, that everybody has finished their census. It's that they've all received one. Yes. That just means that Greenbush has 100% received the census.
People who haven't.
All right, Carolyn says she knows people who hasn't, so.
At least they said they didn't have it. Unless they got it and didn't realize what it was.
Right. So, okay, that answers a little more questions. So those numbers aren't completed censuses, those are delivered censuses.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna try and connect with you again in a different way, but I appreciate your help. Okay, we're here.
She could call in.
Oh, I just low. I think she disconnected completely. All right, so we can wait on that if you wanna, as soon as we hear from her. It'll pop up there hopefully. I don't have anything under presentations, any other ones? I think we're all covered there. All right, anything for the agenda to add?
Under new business, we'll do financial report there. We want
I have a couple things.
retirement of sergeant.
Oh,
Yeah, the
Assistant position.
okay, speak up, I need a couple, so we got a financial report and you need to address the
sergeant's
sergeant's retirement.
retirement.
Yep, buyout or whatever you call it. Retirement. What did you say, Carolyn?
We would like to recommend full staff as of coming Tuesday, May 26th.
So personnel report.
So that the building would be, although closed, it would be at full staff.
Okay. So we'll do that as a motion in regular business and you can make that as a recommendation from personnel.
The
Okay.
other thing, full staff for restore the EMS position.
I'll do personnel recommendations. How's that?
Okay, that'll cover.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, financial report, sergeant's retirement, personnel recommendations. Any other business to add to the agenda? All right, so we'll continue on here. Unfinished business. MERS retirement distribution of costs.
Well, it's really a finance question, but call it as whatever you want to. The Personnel Committee recommends that we would use choice 3, which is to move forward with the MERS certified report. You have the 2 pages that I sent to you, and as I indicated, as we say, choice 1 is to do nothing. Choice 2 is to do it on our own best guesstimate, which we can do, and actually which we've pretty well, I think we're going to have in place on for June. And number 3 is to request a certified report from MERS. It'll be $400. I've talked to all of you about this. I think I answered any questions you had. And personnel, now personnel does say, we do not know where the $400 is coming from. So we would ask for concurrence of how that $400 is going to surface from the Finance Committee. So once Finance says, sure, we can do this, then we would recommend that we go with choice 3. And I will move to authorize a MERS certified report to reflect cost distribution for retiree groups at a cost of $400, source of $400 to be determined by finance.
All right, there's a motion. Is there support?
I'll support it.
All right. Any other discussion? So, for those that are listening, so we have an issue with the way MERS is billed to each entity, each department, and in some certain situations, departments have been absorbing the entire cost of that group or that what's not a group? It's a unit or a division. The whole historical cost of the division is being all burdened on one department. So we're trying to look at the percentages or have MERS come up with a percentage of what the current employees costs and any costs that employees that were in that division. We've had cases where people have transferred from one department to another and they're bringing along all the other departments' division costs.
Right.
I guess is probably the best way to put it. So just trying to even out the cost to each department in the MERS cost.
Right.
I would like to acknowledge a tremendous amount of time and energy that Trina has spent on this and Stephanie. This seemed rather complicated. Actually, to us, we were quite clear on it. It wasn't right. It wasn't fair. But working with MERS, Trina put a lot of energy and effort into it, and I want to acknowledge that and say thank you for it.
Yeah, the theory and our premise is good, but knowing the nuts and bolts and trying to figure out what exactly the dollar amounts are, it becomes a lot more of an issue. So yeah, I think we're probably best to let them come up with that number so we don't unfairly or continue to unfairly burden a department with costs that possibly weren't theirs.
Yeah, and I think this way you get a report that is really can't be questioned. I mean, it's going to be this is the way you do it.
Yep.
And for $400, I think that's pretty reasonable to get that done.
I would agree.
Yeah, and it's especially so we have groups that are functioning with millage monies, and those have to be fairly accounted for. Mm-hmm. And and this may not, the way it is may not be have been fairly, not by any actions on our part. It was just the way it was always done. So this is hopefully going to clear and clean all that up and make it more transparent on where these costs are coming from, where they originated from. So any other comments, questions? If not, yeah, go ahead,
Craig,
Scott.
Question. One thing I was concerned about is to distinguish between with MERS, what employees we're paying for that are currently working and which ones are retirees. It's tough for me to look at my budget and see that I'm putting out probably close to $250,000 towards MERS, and I have very few employees in defined benefit. So if there's some type of distinguishment between what it's costing me for employees that are currently working and which ones are for retirees, it maybe gives me a better depiction of what it is for day-to-day operations here, rather than costs that were incurred in at least one circumstance over 25 years ago. A widow is collecting a pension, so it's easier for me to look at a budget and say this is what it's costing me to run the place today, as opposed to costs that were incurred years and years ago.
Right. Well, hopefully with this we'll have a good handle and better information on where these are going and allocate them appropriately.
Right.
And
it sounds like maybe that report will help us do that a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions here? Debbie? All right. Roll call, please.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Clothier,
Yes.
Brumman.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, and we'll print that 400 off somewhere.
Oh, we'll find it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I helped you
piggy
with
bank.
200 of it.
Yeah.
New business claims.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between May 6th, 2020 and May 19th, 2020 for check numbers 140882 to 140980 and e-check numbers 1299 to 1309 for a grand total of $309,539.38.
Is there support?
Second by Bergie.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes. You want to do a financial report while we're here?
Again, we need to, just a little housekeeping on our 2020 budget. As we reported, at our last meeting, our $80,000 contingency was in the wrong line item in our 2020 approved budget. We did some research after the meeting, and we have the correct number in our budget to move that $80,000 to. So we need to approve to move that $80,000 from account number 101-851-941-000 to 101-890-999.000. So that cleans up, that moves our 80,000 contingency over into a line item where it needs to be. With that, we're cleaning up some items that were missed in our 2020 budget or put in incorrectly. So one would be in the treasurer's budget, there was no monies put in for the HSA payments. So we need to move $4,000 from contingency into that line item. In hospital in 101 what do you want to say, into our fund, I can't remember the right name.
Governing body?
Governing bodies fund, hospital deductibles, bills had come in from deductibles that were owed from the 19 year, but they did not come into later into 2020. So we need to move $2,220 over to, from contingency over to that line item to get that line item back positive. And talking to Stephanie, I think that's one thing that we need to look at. We had only appropriated $1,000 for the HRA deductibles for 2020. You know, hopefully we never have to use any deductibles. Last year there was, some had to be used and it becomes the county's responsibility on $4,200 of it. So it's a line item that we really need to watch. And make sure, you never know how much money we have to have in there, but this year it turned out we needed some more.
And I remember our discussion on that budget time, and we thought, well, because we didn't know.
Because we hadn't received nothing.
Didn't have a bill, we figured there wasn't a deductible,
Right,
so.
and it didn't, bill didn't come into like end of March or something.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy. So anyway, that's something we need to look at. Then going down, we had some IRS fees that came in that we were due, we had no money budgeted for. So we need to move $1,493 from contingency over to that fund line item. There were 5 people in trial court that had longevity pay, and there was thought at the beginning of the budget time there was only 4. So we need to clean that up. So we need to move $750 over from contingency to that line item. We need to move $13 over into, that was from
Clerk.
Yeah, clerk. It was for fees on the clerk. It was some.
Long-term disability?
Yeah, long-term disability fees. We were just $13 off on our estimate, what that would be for 2020. So we needed $13 out of contingency over for that. Then in our disaster fund, we created that disaster fund so entities could charge due to the COVID-19 on supplies and that to that. We had put in originally $6,000. That is now like $400 over budget, so we need to move another $2,000 into that line item. So there's monies there available from contingency. And we also need to move $7,100. This one was from. What the heck was this one, Adam?
Okay.
Shoot. Look at that lineup for
Yep,
me.
I'm looking.
850-719. That's,
850719.
yeah, I didn't bring it with me.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, it's, I know, let me think.
Unemployment.
Oh, yeah, unemployment, unemployment, 850-719.
Unemployment insurance is 850719.
Okay, yep, we need to move, $7,100 over, and actually, we need to keep a eye on this line item. We were charged a bill for unemployment. That could be under questioning from unemployment office. We're just gonna have to keep an eye on this, cause this could be getting reimbursed. But the bill was come in, we paid it, and now there could be some discrepancy, and we could be getting this money back from IRS or from unemployment agency, but we
Okay.
need to move $7,100 over for that. And what's the 648? Oh, this one here is just, we're cleaning up. This one here, we really didn't know you vote on, because this is just a line transfer within the same budget.
835 is medical exam, autopsies.
Oh, yeah, and yeah, so, and then we need to, in the autopsy line item, we don't have autopsies anymore, so we need to move the money that we had in the autopsy line item up to the contract services line item, just so we have money in there to pay for the contract with the new medical exam.
I see, yep.
That one doesn't need to be board action.
No, that doesn't need to be board action, but I put it on here, so. The rest of them, I'll need to be board action.
Okay.
Was that a motion?
Yes.
Support. Did you support that?
Nope.
Oh, support.
All right, moved and supported to make the following, or the presented transfers. Any other questions? Thank you for doing that.
Nice
That
job,
was-
Dan.
Yeah, it was, all right, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Anything else from finance? Financial, or?
Adam?
We did this on its own thing, right, Dale, going to share the.
Well, the sheriff
Yeah.
thing, that'll be coming up.
Okay. The audit's underway. We don't have any new information right now as of how it's going.
Are they gonna
where
come
they're
at all, or not? It's all gonna be
I
done
don't-
virtual?
I believe they are. But the treasurer and the clerk's been working with them to get them the information they need.
Okay.
And, when we get any new news, we'll let you know.
All right. All right, all right. Next item, sergeant's retirement.
You're gonna do the extension of vacation time?
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, I did miss that. Extension of vacation time. So, we have an issue with, I don't know if it's an issue, but we have people whose anniversary date fell during this whole stay home, stay safe time, and they were unable essentially to be able, or they feel like to be able to utilize their vacation time, and they're gonna lose it if we don't make, some sort of a change to our policy. I don't see, is there an option? Is there a recommendation? This is all open
I would
to,
like to suggest that we move for one time only in 2020, that we move or extend their anniversary date by 90 days after we enter into phase 6 of the governor's standards.
Well, what happens if she doesn't have a phase 6?
Pardon?
What happens if they just?
I hate depending on her. Sorry.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but what are we gonna use? If we, as was discussed earlier, if we in fact become part of the group that opens just like to the north, well, you know what, maybe their vacation was to go see Aunt Matilda
Sure.
in Detroit.
But right now, I mean, there's the stay-at-home order is still in effect, even
Right.
though they opened them up there.
Right.
And there's word that she's gonna continue the stay-at-home order for a long time. So,
So you want to use stay home, stay safe as the gauge and say as long as
Because
that's,
we could bleed into 2021 if we do that.
yeah, that's the problem. It could go into the next year.
We could be looking at a second anniversary.
I guess.
I think we need to extend it. How we define that, I'm more than happy to
Yeah.
bat that one around and come up with whatever we can. Maybe we do an extension of, if your anniversary date fell within March 1st,
Can you do it on an individual basis? Is this only gonna affect just a few people?
I don't,
Address it as it arises?
I understand the frustration of if you wanna take a vacation, you're gonna travel somewhere on your vacation, but circumstances is circumstances. And I don't, how can we bend the whole county's process around, the request that, I need to travel somewhere to go on my vacation. I understand, but the times are the times. If we already struggle, making ends meet at the county, now we're gonna try to make some new policies to warp what we're trying to manage in the first place. I don't know.
Again, how many people is this affecting right now? Do we know?
I don't know.
Well, anybody who wanna take a vacation at the anniversary is coming
Well,
up.
no, anyone
So
whose
you can take a
anniversary-
vacation and stay home.
Yeah, their anniversary date falls within this time of
Yeah,
stay home.
this timeline,
yeah.
Which could be everybody by the end of
No,
the year.
no. They're pretty evenly just spread out. I mean, when were you hired? You were hired in October, this doesn't even affect you, yes? It's only if you were hired commencing, you could say the middle of February, the stay home came in March,
March 16th.
yeah. But I guess if we do move forward on something like this, I would want to go to March 1st. Because by then, things were a little tense. And I don't even know if that would make a difference. But, another option, which I don't know that, I haven't thought about this one, so I don't know, but would be to buy out the vacation that they're losing, but I don't think I want to do that. And that doesn't really,
Do we know Stephanie, how many people this is affecting right now?
I do not.
So
I'm
what,
assuming it's affected at least one person to bring it to the board's attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the personnel committee recommending that we go back full staff on Monday?
we
On
will,
Tuesday?
yes.
On Tuesday? Well, then if we're going back full staff, then from March 16th to May 24th would be the dates that I would be more in question, because once you're back full staff, it isn't if somebody wants to take a vacation right now, you can travel. But there's so many places closed down that are not accepting, you can't go anywhere on
Right,
vacation.
right.
That isn't our problem, I feel. So I think if we're gonna go back, this is just my opinion, but if we're gonna go back to full staff as of next Tuesday, which was May, 25th, whatever that is, then my recommendation would be from March 16th to May 25th. If you fell in that timeline, then
what would you like to extend it? 90 days?
extend those people that fell into that timeline.
Give them a 90-day
90-day extension.
increase in
to
extension
take-
to.
But it's only those people that fell into that timeline.
Right.
After that, it's wide open. I mean, you can't put it on something like, this phase 6 or something.
Right.
I ain't paying for them.
Thought they said something about we'll get the bill in the mail.
No, he didn't.
Somebody's mic's on, just so you know. Somebody's talking and we can hear you.
I mean, we're having all discussion without a motion, but I just
They asked if
think,
they could chime in on it.
yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
And there hasn't been a motion made on that.
No.
I withdraw my motion so we can start over. I understand Dan's point, and you can make an argument for any more of a half dozen
Right,
options on this. And to do nothing is one of those.
right.
But I can comfortably support Dan's approach, and if I understood you correctly, you were saying that if your anniversary fell from, you said March 16th, through May 26th, that you will, from May 26th out, you will have 90 days to use up any vacation that you would have lost
In that time frame.
during that prior time frame.
That's your motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, he's seconding your motion.
I'm seconding his motion.
Okay. Moved by Gothier, seconded by Brumman. Continued discussion.
What's up, Johnny?
Are we still on?
That's all.
Okay.
Delayed.
So roughly, what, 2 months there? I would agree. I think we were under, this is,
2.5 months, yeah.
yeah, for the last 2.5 months, it's been extraordinarily odd situations.
Oh, heavens, yes.
I can't see us going into summertime. I mean, the amusement parks may never open, and if that was where I was gonna take my vacation, now I can't go, so I need another. No, we can't do that.
Can't
I mean,
keep
who
doing
knows how all that's,
No.
but it would
Okay.
seem reasonable that the last 2 months has been extraordinarily odd, and people may not have even
Been able to take.
been able to do anything, so.
I'm fine with this.
So it's on Stephanie's office to track this and keep track of
I
everything?
think there's only 2, maybe
Probably.
3 people who had
Yeah, there
an
aren't very many.
anniversary within this time.
Yeah. There's
I'm
only a
just
couple.
clarifying.
Yeah.
Very few people accumulate that
So-
much vacation time.
Well, the clerk will identify who had an anniversary date, if this goes from 3/16 to 5/26, and then notify them they have an additional 90 days from their anniversary date.
I would have them address us. Otherwise, we have to go through every single
Yeah.
Uh, Well,
employee to find
we
out
know
what
all
their anniversary date
The
is.
hire dates for 214, we know them all for the sheriffs,
So we'll send out a memo.
I think by request.
Yeah. I
By
think if
request.
a-
by
if a-
request.
Yeah, if an employee comes in and requests it, if they
Yep.
fall in them dates, they have an additional 90 days.
We'll put out a memo that if you had an anniversary date between these 2 dates, contact the clerk's office,
Yep.
and we'll set the thing in
It will
motion.
be
90 days
provided
from
in the future.
their anniversary.
No,
Okay.
no, from
5/26?
5/26.
Okay,
Right, yeah.
okay,
And
90 days.
after that we can.
Got it, okay. Everybody clear on this?
Think so.
All right, any other discussion? If not, roll call?
Brady,
No.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Gothier.
Yes.
All right. Next item, sergeant's retirement. So who's presenting that? Personnel?
No.
I guess.
Or finance?
I guess we can. We have Sergeant, James McGuire retiring, and it'll be retiring effective May 28th, 2020. And then therefore he'll be cashing in all his accumulated sick, comp, personal, and vacation time. The clerk's office has worked with Debbie and Sheriff Stevenson on all these figures. They, as of last night, when I talked to Trina and Stephanie, that they concurred with all these figures are correct. And the total amount due, $37,101.59. And in addition to that, the county will pay to MERS for the wages reported, which is everything except for sick hours, which will total, obligation to the county of additional $9,072.45.
So we need a motion to take that from, or do we need a motion for that? To pull it up?
Move it from 7:30 to 1:01, yeah.
Yeah,
so-
we need to have that motion.
Yeah.
Now, are we only gonna bring 37,101 from that, or are we gonna, we don't know about this 9,072 to MERS yet, do we? How that, is that gonna be paid right now? Is that gonna be paid over time?
Stephanie, what is it?
Defined benefits done once a month.
So that 9 is gonna be strung out over multiple months?
No.
No, that needs
Will
to
it be
be,
in May or June? Because this is at the end of
Well,
May,
it'd be May's
Be May. because-
wages,
Yeah.
that are reports will be in June.
so we won't have to move it till June.
so right now you're asking to move
Well,
37,101,
we're gonna have to, we
or
just move it.
move it all?
Yeah, I would think.
Okay. So that is.
And I think there, with these figures, they could, I would think they wouldn't change by a couple cents or anything, but there could be, this is what the girls figured out last night, so. was it 46,173, 7404.
Just move 48,000.
Yeah. So, yeah, so if we, yeah,
So transfer from 101,730? Is that what it is?
it's, there, actually, I worked with Cheryl yesterday. Cheryl's not on the line.
Cheryl, are you there?
I am. I'm typing you information. There's no budget for 7:30 created.
Yeah.
So in order
Right.
to or anything, you would have to approve a budget for 7:30.
Right.
So we are just,
I'm prepared. I
So
was
what-
told this was next week, so.
I can't hear. What's?
What, so we need to have a motion that we create a budget for 7:30, Cheryl? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Have to approve a budget for 7:30 in order to move the money out of there.
Oh, okay.
So we gotta put a budget together. That's what I'm saying, it's a scramble to make this happen today.
No, or not, this, so on this, the only other, what Sergeant, just so everybody knows, what Sergeant McGuire is requesting, that because of his day, his effective date of retirement is May 28th. If this money is paid to him in the month of May, then he would get a retirement check in June. If this money is paid to him after the 1st of June, then he would not get a retirement check to July. So he is requesting that this money, if possible, can be paid to him in May. That's what the request is.
Well, I think we should utilize the standard procedure, that whatever the clerk's procedure is, utilize as she would with any other retiree.
It's the 2 days in May for the 26th and 27th that would roll over into June. So those 2 days of pay to be paid out, the last pay in May. That's the pay request.
Oh, so this money doesn't do it? This money doesn't have anything to do with this getting a retirement check in June? It's just the 2 days of pay?
It's just the 2 days of pay,
Oh.
yes.
Oh. Well,
that's a whole different
keep
story.
all
Well,
of
that's a
the
whole
wages
different scenario.
May.
Why are we presented with this whole nightmare with, Lord have mercy.
Well, that might be a separate request that I'm not aware of.
Well, that's just what I was told to me.
Yeah,
So
we
I think
we were
first of
led to
all,
believe that this whole thing had to be resolved in the month of May in order to get for what his request, but now.
yeah. So I guess the
The whole
first thing,
motion.
I think the first thing we need, per Cheryl, is we need to approve a budget for 7:30.
Right.
We need to do that first, because there is no budget for 2020 and 7:30.
Which we'll have to put one together to prove
We
it.
can do that June 3rd. We can approve that June 3rd.
We can approve that June 3rd.
I would
Okay.
think so.
Yeah, and if we can prove this part of it, then, and it still won't affect his benefits, because we only have to get,
Yeah.
today we only have to prove that,
Yeah, so
what
then,
motion, how would the motion read?
so do we,
Unless there were other things that were discussed that affected for the payout for this month. That would be Scott and Debbie question.
so I'll make a motion. I know the one thing we have to do. I'll make a motion that the 2 days in question, which is the 26th and 27th of May, for Sergeant McGuire, be placed on this week's
The last
payroll.
pay in May.
This week's pay in May, so that those 2 days do not go into the June month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
This is the end of our pay period, is this Friday. And then he's gonna work those 2 other days next week. That would not, his pay wouldn't come into June. So when that pay, those 2 days in pay in June would cause him not to get a retirement check in June because of 2 days pay. That's what the deal is.
Gonna throw the MERS off into the
Yeah.
next month.
That
But
throws
do
him
they
to the
just
next
Move
one.
his retirement date to the 27th?
Well, it doesn't matter, it's just it's just 2 days of pay. I mean, she can easily put it into this month.
Yeah.
I believe we just did it for another recent retiree.
We did do it?
All right.
We paid them before they worked the time. We paid them.
I believe.
Well, if it's
Keep it the
precedent.
same month for MERS purposes.
For the same purpose. So I made a motion.
All right, is there support?
I'll second.
Moved and supported. Any other discussion?
It just seems irregular to pay someone before they've worked.
All right,
Johnson?
yes.
Brady?
Yes.
Brumman?
No,
Gothier?
Yes. And then is a motion in, oh, yeah, you didn't do roll, oh, yeah, you did. Is there a motion needed to create this budget? We can do it
Yes.
for next week?
yes.
But you have to have
Oh,
We gotta have a
what
budget.
the
but-
budget is going to be.
We have the
you
budget.
created.
Yeah, to create it.
No,
We don't need to.
you create it and we'll pass it.
Right.
Okay, so we have the next 2 weeks to do that.
I want to make a call real quick.
Huh?
I just want to make a call real quick to verify that that's
Okay,
wasn't affecting something else for the payout for this month.
okay,
I wasn't in all those conversations.
okay.
So haven't we pulled money out of out of there before without a budget?
No, we've always had a budget.
There's just.
You have to. Right now, there's only $5,000 you could pull out of there.
Right, that's what I'm seeing. There's only 5 in
Because you
there.
gotta create the budget to pull it
So
out.
you gotta
of the
have fund balance, we gotta have a transfer in from fund balance in order to,
Correct.
yeah.
You can pull the 5 out, but it's not gonna
What
satisfy.
was the last one we
needs.
just did?
Pardon me?
Last year was 38,000 something. We
It was
did
last year? Yeah.
It was 38,000. I can't remember who it was for.
Somebody.
Was
Was it Doug? No. Wasn't Doug.
No.
I was looking here to try to
Was
find.
Patty? Could have been, no, I don't know.
It was 38,000 something. Cheryl and I looked it up.
Yeah, it was,
I know who it was.
yeah?
Yeah, it was Matthew Perkins, and when I became sheriff, I had to sell my time off. So
That's right.
Yeah, got it.
That's right. Yep. Thank you.
no, thank you for all the work. I realize it's quite confusing, and I appreciate all the work you guys have put into it.
Got it. Back on.
Okay,
There is a reason for it in May.
okay.
Scott Stevenson?
Yeah.
He was just talking. So you gonna talk again?
Ask him.
Scott,
Yes.
you got something else?
No, I don't. Did you have a
Steph
question?
just came in and said you were gonna tell us why it has to be in May.
I just talked to Debbie.
Debbie's gonna talk to you in a second.
Yeah, can you just hold on a second? She's gonna fill
Yep.
me in. Okay.
Yep.
There was something else.
I don't need to do anything on this. Stuff I did for the insurance, but that's just nothing. We don't need to say nothing.
Mhm.
Carolyn.
We don't need to say.
On the, what?
The Myrna stuff, I don't need to say anything on that.
We're just providing them information.
Yeah.
So there it is.
He never answered. I'm gonna have to email him, see.
The new game, I didn't want it, okay.
Craig, I'm back.
Yes.
Okay, Debbie's
All
had
right,
some
Scott.
conversation, and maybe she can explain it a little bit.
Hey, Deb.
What we've done in the past is we pay them for all of their accrued time. And if the budget is not created right now, where you said it wouldn't be done until June, it can still be paid now out of his regular line item number and then a transfer when the new line item gets created into that to cover.
I see. Yep.
And I think that's how I was paid out last year too.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a mess.
It's been that way for a long time. There's never usually money in there. And then after.
Right.
it's transferred.
That way we know we have an accurate number. It's gonna be
Yeah.
all said and done and you'll know exactly what it is. There wouldn't be any.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Deb.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll go about it that way. We'll pay out of the regular line and then,
So his line item was already filled to pay the whole year's salary. We use the rest of that money to cover this
Correct.
and then have to,
and then reimburse that line with money from 730 when we know that figure.
When you know that figure, I got you.
It won't fully cover it. There's not enough left there to fully cover it.
Because of the MERS, right?
Yeah. it'll be close on the payroll itself.
I guess just my point is this, I just wasn't aware how this was done, and Adam and I were kind of hit with this yesterday, and it was like, whoa, what, I mean,
Friday.
Sure,
Yeah, we've had it for 3 days. to-
Yeah, just wasn't
All
sure
right.
which way to go with it, but that, what Debbie just said explains everything.
Okay, so that's the route we'll go.
So you're
And
not
then-
adopting the 7:30 budget? until
No,
it's created?
not
No,
until the,
no,
not
we'll
until
work with Cheryl on
2
creating
weeks,
that.
when we have that final number,
Yeah.
which will be generated here. in-
Well, they'll know by the end
Yeah,
of
they'll
May.
know.
Yeah.
They'll know at the end of May what that number is. All right, so we'll pull back that motion.
Well, you still need the motion for the 2 days if he wants.
Yeah, the 2 days, we
Okay.
passed that.
We
We passed
it,
that.
done.
Okay. All right, nothing else on that, so now, what else do I got here? Personnel, you had something?
Yep,
Yeah, we got
a couple things.
Go ahead.
I would move that we, darn, I lost the word I wanted, that we, this next, that we go back to full staff in all positions effective Tuesday, May 26th. There will be an exception to that, and it being MSU Extension, because MSU has told their people they cannot go back to their offices. They can't move around at all.
Okay,
Still, building's still closed as usual.
building remains closed to the
Oh, I'm
public.
sorry, yes. The building continues to remain closed to the public, and, or I should say, but, appointments may be made with an individual department.
Probably the best way to explain it is we're gonna come back in the way we came into this. We were closed to the public, but everybody was here for a week or two, and we had appointments, and then we kind of ramped it down. So now we're coming back. Everybody's gonna be here, but still closed to the public, and then hopefully get to where we open to the
If an
public again.
employee is not able to be here, they can take either sick or vacation, but we are back full strength as of Tuesday the 26th.
Correct, okay.
And I would so move.
All right, is there support?
Yeah, I'll support.
Supported by Dan. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Brady,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Gothier,
Yes.
Brumman.
Yes.
Anything else?
Move to restore the position of EMS Assistant Director designated as a full-time position at the rate of $40,000 with benefits effective June 1st, 2020. If you recall, we took action that would have left everything in limbo as of May 31st, and this puts it back, and
This is where it was at the beginning of the year.
yes.
Well, no, the beginning of the year was part-time.
Oh, it was part-time.
Oh,
and
so the
then-
beginning of the year, yes. It would
Yeah.
put it the way it was last year.
So,
Wanna
okay,
go back to full-time? Do they have a budget for that?
They will create one. I do not see a value of having her on,
I'll second, by the way.
oh, thank you.
Go ahead.
She is, we need someone in that position. We need someone who can, I think one of the most critical things is can act as a paramedic when needed. She has been doing that during, well, all year she's been doing that.
the only question I have though is that, I mean, we budgeted in order to save money by that part-time. And did we know, so what we're saying is that we didn't realize that we couldn't
Correct.
do it with a part-timer. Is that what you're saying?
You need to have a person there
Yes.
that can be doing what she needs, what she's been doing the last 2 months, whatever it is.
Last,
I mean, you can't really go from it seems inappropriate to go from 3 people to 1.5 persons. There's gonna be stuff that's not gonna get done, or it's gonna be done so quickly that it's not. And I believe, and finance, or, I'm sorry, not finance, but personnel believes that that's the route to go. And it is our recommendation.
Got a question.
Hey, Scott?
Scott?
Rice? Yeah, Dan's got a question for you.
Go ahead, I can.
Okay, what was Tony's salary in 18 before, what was her salary in 18?
You mean 19?
19, excuse me, 19.
40,000.
40,000.
Oh, was he? Okay. Then we went to a part-time position, which cut down her 7 days a week, or 7 hours a week. What's your budget? I don't have your budget in front of me. What's your budget numbers for that position as of 2020? What's your 2020 budget numbers you have right now
32
for her?
For her line item position, $32,032.
So it's an 8,000 increase
Yeah, it's a 7
for a year.
plus benefits.
Well,
Yeah, plus
it's a
benefits.
change of 8,000. It doesn't provide her with more than she was getting last year. It just puts her back to what she was last year.
Which we temporarily put her back on.
Right.
Because stuff couldn't get done.
Yeah, we were recognizing Scott being
Well,
with his emergency manager
yeah,
job.
with emergency manager and everything that was going on with this.
And is going to continue for months. I mean, we're easily 3 to 6 months out with this COVID thing.
So do we do it? I know it's hard to just do another 3 months extension on it.
I think we need to stop yanking her around. We need her full-time, and that is what the motion, and it is what the Personnel Committee is recommending, not that that has to sway you.
So why didn't we need her full-time at the first of the year?
We did.
But we thought we could make without it.
Someone made that recommendation that we not have her full-time.
Yeah. Well, I think it came.
Well, it came from all of us sitting here because we needed to cut budget. We needed to cut numbers in that budget.
It was cut without, from my perspective and from personnel, it was cut looking at only budget numbers and not at work that had to be accomplished.
Is that a fair assessment, Scott?
What's that?
I said that, so we started the first of the year thinking, okay, we're gonna run a full-time, you full-time there, Tony part-time, and, because we knew we had to lean out some things.
Right.
And so we looked at numbers. Are you saying that after a real-world experience that it just can't happen that way? Is that the?
I made the comment, if I may, that the first of the year, the only thing that was looked at was numbers. We didn't look at job obligations and responsibilities and the time it took to get those jobs done. And when we look at that.
Because we were told by Scott, the director, that he thought that they could do it with him full-time and Tony part-time, that they could handle that situation.
Okay, and I never heard that.
Yeah.
I'm
We
not
were,
saying-
we were told that, and then this COVID thing threw everything into a big, that's how it
Even
went down.
without the COVID, I still believe it needs to
Well,
happen.
and we all talked about that. This was gonna be, you're gonna have 3 or 4 months to look at this and see how it was working, then all of a sudden this COVID hit and said, hey, I gotta have her, full-time. Not putting an excuse on that, but we never did sit down and analyze how their job was going, full-time, part-time, in that department, because by middle of March, this thing hit. And we never did sit down, as far as finance, sit down with Scott and ask him directly, how's this going?
You only operated in January, February in your kind of pared down position, right? I mean, Tony was part-time January and February, you were full-time. That's really the only 2 months you have to kind of evaluate, is it feasible? Can it happen? And then we went into this whole COVID thing. So I come back to my question. So what you're saying is that, our hope was to cut expenses by making a part-time position on the assistant. And in a real world experience, it's not feasible to do it, is what you're saying? It just can't be done, or?
Currently, with the circumstances that are going on between the COVID-19 and some of the other Mother Nature flooding and other things that are surrounding us, I don't think it's feasible or reasonable at this time to keep her part-time. I think that to get things done in a timely manner and as thorough as she completes the projects and the things that she's tasked with, that's what it requires, full-time commitment.
Okay. All right, so, and
I have a question then for you. Does that mean that you feel that when all the COVID stuff and all the flooding and all of that is all done and over with, that you can work with 1.5 people in that office?
That answer I don't have or don't know at this time.
Okay, then I would add an amendment, if I may, a friendly amendment to the motion and indicate that this will be reevaluated in the late fall, November, December timeframe for 2021.
Well, I think it's reasonable. I think everybody had the right idea and had a plan, and that was, let's try this and see how it works, and see, can we function with 1.5? And we didn't get a time where we could do it. We could evaluate it effectively. So we go back to full time until fall, and maybe then we'll have a moment or be able to reassess it. This budget's probably going to dictate how this is going to work anyway, because
Well, I don't, for instance, if we were to say, we need to cut the budget, oh, well, rather than having 2 people in the ambulance, we'll just cut out one, and I'm not saying there's well, there is a parallel here. You can't just cut staff without looking to see what they're doing and what their part is in it. You may have to find that you cut someplace else.
Right.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yep.
So, I fully recognize that if we have her on part-time, that it costs us less money. But when I look at the end product, I think that we need to have her on full-time. And if Adam will allow a friendly amendment, that would this be reevaluated to redevelop or to develop a 2021 budget that we reevaluate in, I'm saying November-ish.
Well, we're gonna have to develop, if we're about 2021, and a budget, we're gonna have to evaluate it in September, because that's when we're gonna be working on 21. So we're gonna have to evaluate everything starting by September.
Oh,
We can't wait
or
till the-
before then,
Yeah.
actually before
Yeah.
then.
So, I mean, I like it, I like the friendly amendment. I would think like 1st September, we're gonna revisit a lot of things by then. And I agree that it's unfair to be part-time, then put back full-time, and then maybe taken back off again. I mean, it's hard on that lady, and I understand that, but I still think we're obligated to leave her full-time and then reevaluate it, say September 1st or whenever. I can't go to November. We couldn't go to November because we were already gonna be, the budget's gonna be done by then, hopefully.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
So,
But I guess I'd like to have it run through the end of the year rather than the on again, off again.
I understand,
That
but
we're
we're gonna evaluate everything comes September.
Yeah, reevaluate it when appropriate, but let the employment run till December 31st at that, in that rate, that position.
We understand the motion. So we're going to extend we're going to make this employee full-time for the rest of the year and evaluate in September. And do what? What if we decide in September, you know what, we're not going to do it full-time?
Can't do it. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, I don't know.
I'm gonna.
Well, I know we can say that, we're gonna continue on this full-time and look at it till, in September, but we're not, I don't know how we can say we're gonna pay you full-time for the end of the year, but we're gonna evaluate in September. I mean, anything can happen to anybody in September. I mean, we're not sure what's gonna happen in this world. But anyway,
How about we just make this position full-time? And it could disappear in September. Scott, if you can hear this, I mean, as the situation arises, if we make this position full-time and say for the foreseeable future, And if come September,
Don't put a number on it.
there's all kinds of issues. It may be in this building also. We don't know who's not going to be able to stay full-time. Could be anybody. So if we just make the position full-time, there's no guarantees that it's going to last the end of the year. Really, for any situation here, I mean, that's the kind of budget world we're living in right now. So we make this position full-time until it's not full-time again. We don't even need to add that. Just make it full-time.
Well, then if we go with the motion that originally I offered to each of you, move to restore the position of EMS Assistant Director designated as a full-time position, rate of $40,000 with benefits effective June 1st, period.
Done. That's it.
So we'll go back, use that as the motion.
Nope.
Which is the original motion, so moved.
So it's been motioned and supported by Brady to make this position full-time. Roll call, please.
Johnston.
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
Gothier.
Okay, yeah, yes.
Brumman.
Yeah.
Not in the file.
Motion passes.
I do have one other thing that is not personnel, but I would like to bring forward, if I may at this time.
Okay.
I would move to waive all but the base fee for the building of a pole barn type of structure in Barton City, and it is being done by the Barton City Fire Department, which is a nonprofit 501c3, and I would ask that those permits be waived. All but the base, $35 one.
Is there support?
So I guess I'll support that discussion. But, so then what about all the inspection fees that are gonna incur?
It would waive everything but the base $35.
So the inspectors are gonna go out there for no money?
Oh, they're gonna get paid.
Well, okay, so then, but that's my point. We're gonna waive the fee,
The county
we're
will
gonna
absorb
waive.
the cost.
Yeah, the county's gonna absorb the cost, but so.
Fund 249 will absorb the cost.
I understand, but the whole thing, what I'm trying to point out is that we're gonna waive a permit fee and we're gonna collect $35, which I understand, but it's also gonna cost that fund all the inspection
Yes, it
fees
will.
through the whole thing.
Yes, it will.
So it's not.
So there is precedent.
I know that,
Yeah, we've
yeah.
done this in the past.
We used to waive them
Yeah.
always.
For
They were
townships.
automatically waived.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. Any other discussion?
No.
Hearing none? All right. Roll call, please.
Gothier.
Yeah.
Brumman.
Yes,
Johnston.
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
thank you.
All right. Any other, I have nothing else on the new business. Personnel's all set?
Yes.
Finance all set?
Thank you.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Cheryl, are you still there?
I believe so. Can you hear me?
We can. We can hear you.
Good. I'd like to share my screen. Little thing. This one right here. So, can you see that? The little flow chart?
Yes, yes.
We have been addressing expenses and different things in regards to the amount of money, more money that we're spending than we're taking in. And this is just kind of, I will have a full comprehensive graph for the next meeting, but this is just a little where we are today. The line going up and down is our cash flow. And the top and the top over the 40 is the revenue that exceeds the expenditures for that month. And this is kind of just a, 3 and up to date. So obviously the tax time and the expenses, when the expenses exceed the revenue, that's the bottom, the lower part, which is obviously
I think we just lost you. Oh.
Oh, with the exception of the few months where we get the tax dollars, which is what you see on the top part of that. but the cash flow is the one that's concerning to me. We started out with a little bit lesser cash flow in 2017. Moving through 18, spent a little more. Our cash flow started a little lower in 18. You know, we kind of bottomed out there in June, got our cash flow, a portion of it back, but now we're almost to $1 million in expenditures over what the revenue we have at this point. So we're in a very precarious place as far as spending wise, and I would ask that you would talk to all the departments in regards to being fiscally responsible as far as expenditures and necessary items. We will not be getting that cash flow, the revenue coming back in until the tax bills and everything goes out, and we won't be receiving that money till obviously you see August, September is when we're able to get back on track. So I would ask that you would keep an eye on that and the spending that happens. The first, let's see if I can get to the other ones. I don't know how to get out of here. There we go.
Oh.
Great. The next one, where did it go? It's just, the next one is the cash balances again. This month, year 2018, we were at 457, 487 in 2019. This year we're at 988. So because we started with the lower fund balance, we're seeing a significant amount. We also have a payroll coming up in 2 weeks, which generally run between 100 and 10,000. That's we just really need to be conscientious about the spending that's happening in all departments that are affecting the general fund. I'm going to stop sharing that. And I had worked, I think you, on those budget items that we spoke about. And there are more to be addressed. Anybody have any questions about that? I'm just really asking for your conscientious effort to watch the spending for the general fund and all other funds, as a matter of fact.
Yep, okay. You're kind of chopping in and out.
Oh, maybe that'll be better. Is that a better?
There, now we can hear you good.
Okay. So did anybody have any questions in regards to that? Because I have a few more questions.
Go ahead.
My next question is in regards to, there was a few things that came up through your discussions from different departments. The first one I tried to pipe in, but obviously it wasn't working. My question is in regards to the probate public guardian. Okay. So my understanding is that you approved an increase in that budget of $34.45. Is that correct?
Yes.
30.
Correct.
Okay. And what you had budgeted originally, a contribution from the general fund of $12,500. But in the general fund, you only budgeted $6,000 to be transferred to probate public guardian. So there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. I know she had mentioned that $34.45 coming out of the fund balance. Is that appropriate? Am I understanding what happened?
It's $39.45. Yeah.
Oh, 39. Okay.
$39.45. Right.
Okay, so $39.45 is coming out of the fund balance, a transfer into the fund balance from the probate public guardian. Is that a true statement?
From 298.
Right, from their fund balance, is that?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so their fund balance, they had originally budgeted $500. Now it's $39.45 to come in from fund balance?
44 then? Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding what I'm looking at, because right now they have, Well, they have $12,851.39 in their fund balance. But the contribution from other funds, which is the general fund, shows that you indicated that they would be receiving $12,500 from you. On your general fund budget, it shows that you allocated $6,000 to them. So that does leave kind of a variant in there, which is kind of concerning to me. Because they had intended that you're going to give them, you as the general fund is giving them $12,500, but you only budgeted $6,000, and taking that would wipe out all the cash flow if they had to bring that in from their bottom line, their fund balance. Is that? I don't know if I didn't share that screen. Maybe.
Yeah, that's a true statement. We're pretty close to true.
So the court budget shows they were supposed to receive 12, but ours only shows we're gonna give them 6.
Correct.
This is the 298 fund. Can you see that on the screen?
Yeah.
Contributions from other funds was $12,500. So when I go down to our general fund, the probate public guardian appropriation was $6,000, which leaves them in a different situation. They had planned on $500 in their budget to come in from fund balance, and then an additional $34.45, or you said $39. Either way, it puts their fund balance. So you take $3,000 out of that, and another $6,000, unless you amend the general fund budget to reflect what they anticipated. So it was just something that wasn't discussed with me. It was just I thought it was going to be before it was approved, but I just wanted you guys to be aware of that situation. So when you are moving forward, making your budget amendments, you can take a look at those as well, because that was a little bit concerning to me. The other questions I had were one was for Scott, or whoever's the liaison working is Dan and Adam working with Scott.
Yes.
Rice from the ambulance.
Yep.
We had received some money from the CARE Act, and we were waiting on the information on the requirements, but we haven't received anything back from him, and also the confirmation of that there was supposed to be some information filled out and accepted to keep that money. And I don't know where he is in that process, or where you guys are in that process.
I haven't seen anything on it. Have you?
No.
No.
Scott's not in the picture right now. He's not in his office.
Okay, well then I would
Let him
ask
look
that
over
you
it.
would contact him in regards to the stimulus money that we got from the CARE Act.
Okay.
Back in April, because there was a 30-day timeline. I know it's been extended to 45 to accept that money, or or deny the money. You have to follow the policies that they're putting forth in order to accept it. I just want to know that we get that done in a timely fashion. You know, the 30 days has passed. They did extend it, but I just hadn't heard anything because it's still sitting in our undistributed funds, and we haven't heard back. So that would be something I would appreciate a follow-up on. I don't know. Taxes, they did extend that deadline with the stay-at-home and the emergency order. Once the emergency order is lifted, then we have 30 days after. So if it continues on indefinitely, if they lift the emergency order, then the foreclosures of those properties would be 30 days. We're looking at I believe it's July 8th for the deadline for foreclosure at this point. So we're running way behind. Generally, we have our auctions in August, which is going to set us back a bit with that. But we are moving forward with the other processes that we're required to do, and we'll be sending out our first legal notices by the end of this month. There's a couple more things, but I will address finance separately for those. Does anybody have any more questions?
No.
I'm looking. Nope, I don't think so. Thank you for
All right.
bringing that up.
Thank you.
Appreciate
There's
it.
Scott. Hey, there's Scott right now.
Scott's here now. Hold on.
Hold on.
Scott Rice. Treasurer just made us aware that there was some monies that are sitting in her fund that it need to be accepted. That she sent you some
No.
sort of.
We had a
Direct stimulus
discussion.
payment.
He let us know that he was, we had a discussion. He knows it's there. We know it's there. I'm just wondering if the follow-up has been taken care of as far as accepting the money, because we need to get that distributed and put into your fund in the appropriate line items. And that's
Which
where
one,
Dan
please?
and Adam would be. That would be the CARE Act, the first payment, the stimulus
Okay.
payment of $24,294.05 that came in on April 17th.
Okay. So you just need to know what line item to put it in.
No, I need to know that you've accepted it.
Oh.
Did you file the paperwork for that? There was
I
a
will
30-day time period.
I will check with the billing company. I believe
No,
I
it
told
would have
them
been you accepting it.
I don't have anything right in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll sort it out.
Okay. That's where we were with it. I just didn't know because there was another round supposed to be going out, and if you didn't accept the first, then I don't know if you qualify to capture the second. So I just wanted to make sure where you were with that, because we also need a breakout of where your expenditures are going to be through that, because there were specific things that you had to follow.
Yes.
And so we can just touch base. Adam and Dan can touch base and get back with me on how we're going to allocate that once you let us know that you are going to accept it and that you are going to, your intention is to follow the regulations that they've put forth. That's all.
Yes.
And if with the communication with them, we can get that all taken care of.
All right, I think he's got it. Thanks, Cheryl.
All righty. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, next, clerk's report.
Things, all the reports were sent to the election source for the creation of ballot proof, so I'm hoping to have those very, very soon. The state doesn't allow much of a time frame to receive them and get them out to all the local clerks for processing of AV applications, which I heard on the way in on the radio made it sound as if the state were sending out some 7 million AV applications. I contacted the Bureau of Elections as soon as I got here, knowing that some of the local clerks would call, and they did. And for clarification purposes, the state is sending out AV applications to all of the qualified voters in the state of Michigan that are not marked permanent AV in the qualified voter file. The Bureau was contacted by about 12 counties that said, no, we want to do our own AV applications wholly. About a little less than half of the clerks in Alcona County utilize a permanent AV list. Those that do are required and are going to mail out their own AV applications. So that was just a little bit of clarification on that. I guess it was on the front page of the Alpena News as well. And the only other thing I had was to address the Jim McGuire thing, which was taken care of, and there's just a few communications. That's all I have for now. Oh, also we found a slight error in billing for Cobra expenses. It's very, very minimal. So Trina and I are working on, it's gonna take a little bit of work to get it corrected, but we're talking $5 to $10 perhaps for the period of an entire year per department. At most.
Okay. All right, any questions for the clerk?
No.
No. Communications, you have them there. Committee reports, anything? Anybody have a committee that they went to?
Oh, yeah.
Carolyn?
Wanted to let you know, and I think I CC'd everyone for it, but the request from MAC for public health costs and sheriff costs got sent in Monday. It was due Tuesday. And I had a 211 meeting and some other meeting, I can't remember. I went to both my township board meetings. Actually, Greenbush did Zoom, Makeda was in person. And just been playing tiddlywinks.
All right, sounds, I did have a fair board meeting last night, special fair board meeting. They were gonna decide whether or not they're gonna have the fair. They postponed the decision until the second week of June. So they have, as of yet, not decided. Along with that, so the motorcycle group that is, uses that facility, they are concerned, and I think you're talking to insurance, right, about with
I'm
Myrna?
waiting for a call back from
Yeah.
them, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I think our last conversation, didn't really have any concerns. I mean, that was not gonna be an issue. But the motorcycle group is wondering, are we gonna allow them to use it? Their insurance company seems to be okay with it if they wanna do it. I relayed to them that it's probably gonna depend on the fair. If the fair is canceled, I can't see us letting other groups in there either. But they were looking for some guidance from us on how we felt about them utilizing the grounds for an event that's gonna. You getting chilly? You wanna shut that window?
It's okay,
Okay.
it's okay, I'll survive.
Can't, try it.
I got enough flavors.
So, Parks and Recs hasn't, I don't think they've really talked about it yet, and I know Kevin and I had a little conversation last night. He felt like it was Parks and Recs decision. I feel like it's probably the county's decision if we decide that we're not, we have to address what the state is saying on our facilities, both here and there and any other property that we are responsible for. I think it falls on the commissioners, at least on this area. I don't know if we're prepared at this time to make that decision. They're kind of up, they got to know what they're going to do, whether or not they are going to continue. If we say no, then they're going to say no. They're not going to have any motorcycle races. So.
I'd like to wait if we can till the 4th and see what the fair does.
I feel the same. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I don't want to be the one to say. I'd let them go ahead and continue on. I mean, if the governor has, so if nothing else, we simply can take the position of follow whatever guidelines the governor comes out with going forward. Going to use the grounds, and if you can only have 10 people there, then that's what you get. I mean, you follow. I mean, we're going to defer to her guidance on what she says. So. It's the party line. We will defer to the governor's guidance. So,
I don't know how you can make any kind of decision right now. If you had to make a decision, it'd be no. You can't use it. Yeah.
Under today's, under today, you're right.
Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah. So I mean,
but if it changes, I don't want to be the one to put water on there.
No, I agree, but on the same token, I mean,
I would like. Personnel would like to have another meeting like we had, well, a week ago Monday, we had a special meeting in order to approve those minutes. But we expect that probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, maybe Thursday, I'm not sure. We will have another meeting like we did a week ago Monday, just with the department heads. Okay, how are things going? What are your thoughts? Do you have any needs? What can we do to help, if anything?
Well, because I think from there, we should be within a week or two of maybe looking at some public coming in the building, and depending on what's
that going to look like?
Right.
I mean.
Yep. And evaluating needs as offices are they seeing more needs to be open to the public? Yeah. All right. Any other committee reports? Anything else to add? Public comment? Any public left out there?
Board them all silly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 12:30.
Yeah,
I was wondering why everybody's gone. All right, commissioners, additional comments, concerns? None, seeing none.
Oh, wait, I got one thing. 2 weeks ago, Adam and Scott and myself helped, Adam did most of it, but put together this potential flyer on information on the EMS and that. I think Carolyn's got a couple concerns on the wording and all that, but I think we need to, everybody needs to look at this and come up with the next meeting if they want any changes to it or whatever, because
What is
the-
it, Dan? I'm sorry.
this is the fact sheet on the EMS millage.
And I would have to say, I don't know that my concerns, but mine were more like, do you think we say it this way, or, you know, it was not so much I have concerns over it, because in essence, I thought everything in it was correct.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just the main thing, but this is, you know, this is probably the one most important piece of information we can have regarding EMS. And we need to get it finalized and then come up with some kind of game plan or find out who's who or what or whatever is gonna handle the committee so this can get out and all that stuff.
The election?
Okay.
August 4th.
Okay.
'Cause I don't think anybody else is gonna do it besides us.
Probably not.
We've got just a little over 2 months.
I know, it's,
So.
I mean, I met with the veterans yesterday and had a good meeting with them, and I talked to them, and they're, you know, they're gonna get their signs out and all that, but I said, you guys, you don't understand. You know, you got 2 months, and you wait till next month, and all of a sudden, it's right on top of you, but, you know, they're getting their stuff together and all that, and, but, anyway, that's it.
All right,
Gotta go see my dad.
nothing else? All right, hearing no other business, we're adjourned for 2 weeks. Thank you.